What's going on, guys? I'm Zach from the Lumios Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today we will be talking about the semi-final round of the Masters 8 tournament in Pokemon Journeys. Now, obviously, if you are not wanting to be spoiled about the anime, if you're trying to just keep up with the dub, or if you're a little bit behind with the Japanese version, then, maybe this isn't the video for you, as this will cover the last 4 episodes that have aired in Japan of the anime, which again is the semifinals of the big Master 8 tournament. Okay, let's get in. So, the first battle, of course, was Leon versus Diantha, and this was a controversial battle. I mean, people were really upset about this, and I am going to kind of walk through what happened, just in case there's anybody who wants to keep up with the anime, but doesn't really want to take the time to watch each episode, because that's kind of how I was on a few seasons, such as Sun and Moon. So, Leon versus Diantha was a really controversial match because Leon's Rillaboom single-handedly took out 4 of Diantha's Pokemon, or maybe even it was 4 of them. So this kind of gave people a bad taste in their mouth because Diantha, she's a champion, so she shouldn't be getting clobbered by one Pokemon, right? Well, I thought that at first, too, and I did kind of think that this was a really stupid way to do this match, but then, after watching Ash versus Cynthia, I realized that wasn't the case, and I'm going to take a brief glimpse at that. In that match, Cynthias Spiritomb takes out 2 of Ash's Pokemon, and then manages to kind of tie with Pikachu with Destiny Bond. So, this Pokemon almost swept Ash, too, and Ash is also a champion, the champion of the Alola region. And the fact that he's beaten Steven and Iris, 2 champions, and Wallace, another champion, shows that he has a champion's level of strength. So, if you're going to get upset about Leon's Rillaboom taking out all of those Diantha Mons, I do think you kind of have to get mad at Cynthia Spiritomb for taking out all of Ash's Mons. But yeah, that's just my take on it. At first, I was very upset about the whole Leon Diantha thing, too. It felt like kind of a cheap way to just be able to do it in one episode where they really only kind of half show it anyways. But yeah, I do think that it was really cool how they kind of showed how powerful Diantha, and specifically her Gardevoir, was by, in the final match, Diantha manages to take, or in the final match between Pokemon, I should say, Diantha manages to take Charizard's G-Max Wildfire and actually direct it back at G-Max Charizard. And so that was a really cool scene and really shows how powerful her Gardevoir truly is. That was really cool to see, and I think people were kind of so swept up in the Rillaboom sweep that they didn't really think about that scene and how much that scene validated Diantha's power. But for me, that scene sealed it. Diantha is truly powerful. We don't need to worry about what happened with Rillaboom. That just happens sometimes to the best of us. So, no need to worry. I don't know if any of you watch VGC, but sometimes that happens in championship matches in the World Championships too, is people get clobbered by a team that they just weren't super prepared for. There's a Mon that just does a lot more than either player expected. So, it is realistic, like it or not. Now, to move into the Ash versus Cynthia match. This match probably is one of my favorite matches of all time. Now, it really is like number 2 or 3 in terms of my favorite matches. Now, I will say that does not by any means mean that this match was not perfect. Like, for example, the first matchup was Dragonite versus Spiritomb. It actually fought Garchomp for a minute there, but focusing on the Dragonite versus Spiritomb match, this was, it was a little hard to watch. Spiritomb quickly puts Ash's Dragonite to sleep and is using Dream Eater on it, so just taking damage, and Ash just kind of sat there. In fact, he literally just sat there like, Dragonite, wake up. Dragonite wouldn't wake up. Take a hit. Dragonite, wake up. Dragonite wouldn't wake up. Take a hit. And I mean, he literally did this until Dragonite was just knocked out in its sleep. So that was really poor. Like, I did not like that happened. I felt like that was very on Ash. he kind of just stood there and let it beat the snot out of his Dragonite. And that, I don't know, it showed kind of a lack of compassion in Ash, and also just a lack of strategy that definitely isn't something you'd see in a trainer that has made his way into the top 8 of all trainers. Now, I will say, to play devil's advocate, he's up against Cynthia, someone that he's admired for a long time, and a champion who the world admires. So I guess I could chalk this up to him kind of just choking from the pressure of it, right? I mean, you're battling Cynthia, that's kind of crazy. I mean, that's like, imagine that you show up to a race and you're a really fast runner, and you find out that your opponent in this race is Usain Bolt. You're you're gonna be a little more nervous than you would have if you were just running against anybody, right? So that is kind of how I choked that one up. But anyways, with this match between Ash versus Cynthia, her Spiritomb does dwindle down as team. It takes out Dragonite, it takes out Gengar, and finally Pikachu is able to come in and take out her Gastrodon, and then take out the Spiritomb. But at the last minute, Cynthia reveals Destiny Bond, and Spiritomb drags Pikachu down with it. So this is a really nice way to kind of set up the next part of the match, where Ash has 3 Pokemon and Cynthia still has 4 Pokemon, one of which is, in fact, her Garchomp, which is kind of the scary thing on her team, right? But it was really well done how this match played out. They had Sirfetch'd get so close to taking out Cynthia's Garchomp, and I like that a lot. I like that they didn't make Garchomp this impossible monster that only Ash's best Pokemon could take. They made it like, no, all this Pokemon are really good and have a shot at Garchomp. It kind of took a team effort, right? Because they even point out when the final match is Ash's Mega Lucario against Cynthia's Garchomp, Diantha even points out that Garchomp's already sustained a lot of damage in its battle against Sirfetch'd. And it was just also really cool to see Cynthia using these crazy strategies. Like, you could tell with Spiritomb, she was gunning for Pikachu with that Spiritomb. She knew, I can use Destiny Bond on the Spiritomb to take out his strongest Pokemon. And just her mistake was, she went for Pikachu when, in fact, it was the Lucario she needed to worry about on his team. But I do love that sense of strategy. And another thing was, like, Roserade got burned by Gengar, and Cynthia switches it out. And then the next episode, she throws it back out. It doesn't have the burn anymore. And it's because she had Natural Cure on her Roserade, so it was able to cure its burn by switching out. And that was just little things like that. You fully expected her to Mega Evolve her Garchomp because she had Mega Evolved it in her match against Iris in the first round, but she didn't. She actually ended up Dynamaxing her Togekiss, and again, I think that was just a thing of her constantly making Ash have to, okay, wait, and reevaluate and go in with another strategy. She was constantly just making it where Ash couldn't be a step ahead, and I thought that was really well done. Furthermore, another thing I really loved about the Ash versus Cynthia match was there was a ton of references to previous battles of Ash's. So, first off, I think it is like my headcanon that the Spiritomb thing was a subtle reference to Tobias, which of course is who Ash faced in the semifinals of the Sinnoh League. Tobias had used a Darkrai to basically just put Ash's Pokemon to sleep and tore through his team in that match as well. So I think Cynthia, I could just see the strategical play of her bringing Spiritomb just so she can put things to sleep, because she watched that match. She watched Ash's match against Tobias, so she knows he struggles when someone puts his Pokemon to sleep and just chips away at them. So I'm going to use that strategy. She knew that. Another thing was Ash's Pikachu using Counter Shield, and he even shows it off and kind of says to Cynthia, like, we came up with that while we traveled through Sinnoh. She says, yeah, I actually remember you using that in the Sinnoh League. Again, showing that she pays attention to his matches, and she remembers it really well, and remembers those strategies. So that was really neat. And then a lot of people think, and I would probably buy into this as well, that the final match, Mega Lucario versus Garchomp, was kind of a reference to Ash versus Gladion. As in Ash versus Gladion, he kind of hid one of Lycanroc's moves, and then at the very last second brought it out, counter, and used it to defeat Gladion's Lycanroc. And in this case, he hid one of Lucario's moves, and at the last minute brought it out. It was reversal, and that's the move that took out Garchomp. So again, overall, Leon versus Diantha, I'd probably just grade it a C. Like, it passes for me. It wasn't anything to write home about, but I do think people are being too hard about the Rillaboom sweep. I think that her Mega Gardevoir redirecting that G-Max Wildfire shows how strong she is, and we don't need to worry about that. The creators of the show know that. The writers of the show know that. Everyone who watches the show knows that. No need to worry. And Ash versus Cynthia, a truly incredible match. He did choke with Dragonite in the beginning, and I'm just a little sick of watching Dragonite fall so much in recent battles. But hopefully she'll get a shot against Leon, as Ash, of course, defeats Cynthia and is progressing to the final round against Leon. And that is going to be insane. On that note, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, because we will be covering his battle with Leon when that time comes, so you don't want to miss that at all. And also be sure to let me know in the comments below what you thought of these battles, because I thought they were pretty insane, but I'm very curious to hear what you thought of them. Did you think the Rillaboom sweep was that bad? Did that kind of make you angry? Did you think the Ash vs. Cynthia match was one of the top 3 or top 5 greatest battles? Let me know all that in the comments below, and until next time, I will see all of you later.